In a Today.com interview, Taraji P said that she hopes her concerns and grievances don't overshadow the beautiful film, The Color Purple. What she may not have realized at the time is that the damage has already been done. Did she sabotage the movie, or did they all have it coming? What does Black Hollywood have to say about Taraji? And will her cries for justice have a tangible impact on the Hollywood scene? Let's talk about the possible million-dollar damage Taraji did to the success of The Color Purple, and discuss why she may well be the reason it belly-flopped into the Hollywood pool. Or maybe she isn't the reason why. Are we blaming her for nothing? If not, Taraji may have just shot her entire acting career in the foot. Will she ever be hired again? Let's find out. Before we get right into the heavy stuff, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you can stay tuned on the latest talk of Black Hollywood. This has been established, but that doesn't mean the way she went about telling everyone was the best. Giving bad press while on the press tour for a film you're starring in may not have been the best move. One person commented, "Taraji chose the wrong time to air her grievance about pay. They are on a press tour." A person asked a question, and she couldn't hold off. She chose to air dirty laundry publicly. Yes, her complaints overshadowed the movie. While that may seem like a harsh comment, it does have some truth to it. It would not have been possible for her remarks to not affect the film. She was gonna quit. She wasn't gonna take the job. She had to fight for better pay. She thought it was Oprah's fault. She had a can of worms behind her back and felt the perfect time to open. It was when the excellent press would have been able to help the team. This was a crucial misstep on Taraji's part, and there's no doubt she regretted it. The film itself has lost credibility in the eyes of the public, and we can see this from the numbers that it grossed. The Color Purple was a box office disaster. It was grossing $62 million despite its $100 million budget. It had a strong opening and great reviews from most critics, but the bad press did the work on the public, and they reacted accordingly. Let's be honest. They did sort of all have it coming. When you have an actor on your team who had to argue their pay towards something more acceptable, then you were definitely asking for the smoke. Eventually, she was going to say something about it. Unfortunately, they may not have anticipated that it would be this soon. She waited barely a month to speak up during the press tour of The Color Purple. She was holding in a lot of malice, and even though she gave the role of Shug Avery in the film her all, she was undoubtedly a ticking time bomb, and she just went off. The only part most people find to be questionable is the timing of the accusations she made, and what effect that may have had on the success of the film. However, Taraji's actions are generally considered relatively unprofessional. She could have spoken to anyone: Oprah, her team, Warner Bros. Production, or anyone else who had any sort of power. She could have aired her concerns and still found a way to be discreet, but instead she ran straight to the media with it. Now, of course, I can't say that she didn't do all of those things already. Still, it seems to have been a reasonably unprofessional move on her part to tell the media about any conflict on set before the press tour was done, inevitably attracting bad press to herself and the entire production. A lot of us look to Taraji and feel inspired by her bravery in speaking her truth. Why does it seem like no one else is coming out with a similar story to back her? When TMZ interviewed Vivica Fox on the matter, she said she could not relate, stating, "I'm good," when asked if she has ever had a similar experience in Hollywood. A lot of people support her coming out about what happened to her, but there is no doubt that the scant responses and support from fellow actors who would be able to back her up somehow delegitimize her statements. One of the few actors to publicly agree with her is Miss Keke Palmer herself. She claimed in a tweet, "The math isn't matching." Clearly, Miss Palmer understands the financial frustration of working in the acting industry as a Black woman and wants to show solidarity with Taraji's points. With the financial burden weighing on her shoulders and the opportunity to speak her truth presented to her, Taraji jumped on it. If she hadn't spoken during the press tour, who is to say she could have ever gotten the opportunity to say what she needed to say to an audience that big ever again. Taraji took the eyeballs that were meant for the film and put them all on her. She may have recognized that a chance like this may never come again, and that before she could even get that chance, she would have to go through that same painful situation. Once again, if she didn't have any more interviews after the press tour for The Color Purple, she would have been left to make a television appearance or to let her rantings out on Twitter or Instagram, where she would only have the eyes of her following. In a way, we can see her actions as her taking advantage of the most significant chance she got. On the other hand, The Color Purple was a remake. Lately, Hollywood has taken to saving money on creativity by just reusing existing IP to make new films for younger audiences who haven't seen the originals and to make nostalgia bucks off of older audiences. The biggest influence in this trend is Disney. What we can notice from this trend is that a lot of these movies that are remakes may have been easier and less risky creatively, but rarely do they impress at the box office. There isn't really very much reason to believe that remakes make much money at all when you compare what they make to their budgets, but most of them do make a fair enough profit to motivate companies to keep doing it. The Color Purple is a more lighthearted musical rendition of the original story of the same name. It's more about sisterhood and solidarity, and it has a more optimistic and upbeat tone. However, people don't really like musicals these days. Even Willy Wonka wasn't revealed to be a musical until you walked into the theater and realized, oh no, they're singing their sentences. Musicals aren't super popular with general audiences right now. There is weight to the idea that maybe people just didn't want to see The Color Purple, the musical, anyway. The buzz for the film was tangible, but upon its release, the marketing could have been more rigorous. The Color Purple is one of the most notable and recognizable stories of African American writing, as well as Black Hollywood films. A lot of audience members were disinterested in the remake because the new positive take on the story seemed inauthentic to the novel and film adaptation it's based on. But maybe that's just me. It's easy to look at the way The Color Purple performed in hindsight and say, for sure that was definitely Taraji's fault, because she's the main thing that went wrong that we could see. If The Color Purple was an art house gem that bombed at the box office without this controversy, we would find other reasons why. It's essential to be aware of where we direct blame, as we don't have all the facts as of yet. Hollywood has types. Some actors are easy to work with, and other actors are difficult to work with. And if you want to make money in that town, you cannot be difficult. A lot of actors have spoken out about this before. They're afraid of saying anything about their working conditions. And when assault, harassment, or any form of neglect occurs, they are afraid that one director will describe them as difficult, and they'll be shunned from the whole town. Career over. Being uncomfortable with doing certain scenes or speaking up when you believe that something should have been handled better can land you this title, and no actor who wants rent money would risk that. The only people who can get away with being difficult to work with are people who the studio believes are so famous and or talented that they will make the money back anyway. Taraji took a risk. She spoke up, and all the press right now is about how she may have sabotaged the success of a film that was expected to do exceptionally well. They may give her a difficult to work with title because now they know that she doesn't take any of that low pay. Unfortunately, unlike those lucky few actors with the title of difficult hanging over their heads, Taraji is not as much of a money pull all on her own. She was being lowballed before, but now that her name is attached to box office sabotage allegations, that may make things even worse for her. Even if she does take the job, how would they know she wouldn't speak up for herself afterward, sabotaging the film? In a way, Taraji's statements can be considered as somewhat damaging to her whole career. This, along with her claim that she might be quitting acting, could be a sign that she understands the gravity of what she's done. The hope is that Taraji can move on and start demanding higher pay and actually getting it on her future productions. Maybe everyone else is spooked to hire her, but 50 Cent is on her side. Turns out, Taraji fired her entire team. Yes, she fired every single one of them for not capitalizing on her character in Empire to help her negotiate higher pay in her films. In response to this, 50 Cent commented on her Instagram saying, "I'm ready to work, let's get it." It seems that even if she could be fresh out of luck for other opportunities, when one door closes for Taraji, another one blows wide open. If you're not all caught up on what's happening in Black Hollywood, click on this next video to stay caught up. Are you on Taraji's side in all this? Comment down below.